Bonjour, MikeSwan, Shagashidishkan. Wasamakwan goes, Mang, you know them. I said my name is MikeSwan. That's my English name. My Ojibwe name is Wasamakwa, which means shining bear. I belong to the Loon clan. I am from the village of Pine Point here on the White Earth Indian Reservation. I pretty much lived here all my life in Pine Point, where my parents and my grandparents lived at here. I'm 59 years old, and I guess I'm considered an elder, I guess, in our village here. My past, like I said, I was born and raised here on White Earth. And the only time I really left the reservation here was for about 10 years when I went to school in Duluth and got a degree at attending University of Minnesota Duluth in biology and geology. I eventually returned here and was hired as a director of natural resources for White Earth, where I managed the resources here for the reservation. When I talk about resources, I'm talking about fisheries, wildlife, forestry, wild rice, environmental protection, land management. It's a whole bunch of things. Conservation officers. It's a lot that I did for the White Earth Reservation here. And the reason why I chose that field was when I was growing up, I loved to be the outdoors and doing things with my father, my family, like harvesting wild rice. We'll go out and harvest rice and we'll bring it home and we'll process it right there and at our house and with green rice and doing the whole process. And these are our family activities that we did. And the hunting, when I was old enough to go and carry a gun and going hunting with my father, going out in the woods, all day long, going out there with my uncles and that, and we'd be gone all day, until we got some deer or something like that, and finally come home. And I always look forward to those times when the family will come home. I come from a big family from my father's side, but also from my mother's side too. I did most of these activities on my father's side, the hunting and the racing and everything else with him. And my uncles and cousins, they all come and at certain times of the year, and we did these activities all together. A lot of them moved away, but they will always come back during those times. And those things are, good memories of the things we did. We never really knew, I guess, that me growing up, that was kind of like the way of life of doing it. And even growing up, I would go with my father and I would go out in the woods. He was a logger, and I would peel pulp and that, and maybe sometimes go with him during the summer times to logging camps and work during the summertime. Kids were out there working whenever we had to, when it needs to get done. That's how I grew up, and because of that, that's where my interest was when I was growing up, and decided that's where I'm going to get my education at and use that education, and that's what I ended up doing. As a director of natural resources, I worked in that field for over 30 years and just recently retired, and I miss it, working with my people I've worked with before, and it was something that I always cherished, because I always felt that I was doing a job that was helping not only our community but the whole reservation and all the people. in managing those resources out there the best we could. Our communities are just like any other communities, I guess. We have the problems, drugs, alcohol, domestic violence, and all that. Every community has that, but for some reason, when it happens around here on the reservation, it's kind of highlighted a lot more than some other place. I guess if there was any type of issues, it was just trying to address those issues in our communities. I think it starts with drugs and alcohol. I've been sober, quit drugs and alcohol for over 24 years. I changed my life, and I like it. I really love it. And that part of it has to be with my education. Part of it is also with my culture. It's what I changed, and changing that, the way I did it, it's not for everybody either. But the one thing I do is trying to help those people that are seeking that help. I can help them, guide them where they can, but to bring out issues and that, yeah, there's a lot of issues. There's political issues. There's social issues, economic issues on the reservations. It's even the reservations are economically depressed. A lot of people don't have that understanding of economics or business to run a small business. Too many people rely on the government, the tribal government, the federal government, the state government to provide those even basic needs for people here on the reservation, where really we shouldn't. We should be able to, it's almost like we developed a dependence on the government to do this, to do things, get permission to do things. We shouldn't have to be, we should do it as ourselves as people. Those are things like, and that even goes into the social part of it, where the drugs and alcohol and everything comes into play. The political aspects of it too, the politics that surrounds on the reservations too. I think there's a lot of issues, that could be addressed, but to bring all of them out and to blame one or individual or anything, you can't. You have to look at everything around, because I guess to me, in order to change things, first of all, is to change the things around yourself before you look at trying to change things for the reservation. And also that you got to look at how you're going to do you live that lifestyle? Do you practice what you preach? That's one of the big things. Yeah, there's a lot of people that politics. Well, some people should be in politics. Some people should. We don't know. Who am I to be saying who can and who can't? But I think I look at it as I need to take care of things of myself first before I do anything else, I guess. I believe that handing down knowledge is very important. And looking at our culture, Ojibwe culture, we got a thing what we call oral history. And that's passing on knowledge, even telling stories. When Buju and or non-Buju, what they referred to, those are lessons to be taught to people. And growing up here, in our household, in my grandmother's house, that my grandfather, that's how he spoke, was Ojibwe. But when he passed away, my grandmother said that we should speak English because we got to use that language. So even growing up here, you really didn't see much for showing our culture, our heritage. That was one of the things that I had in my, after I graduated from high school and everything like that. Yeah, we had a Indian club and everything else like that, but I always had this question in my mind is, okay, well, what does it mean to be Indian? Besides saying we're on the reservation and going to school and everything else like that, so what does it mean to be Indian? So when I left for college, I had an opportunity to meet a lot of people, a lot of elders from a lot of other places. One guy that I met his name was Jimmy Jackson. And listening to him and the stories, and he's telling about him growing up, and the reason why he does things. He was a medicine man, and the use of those plants and everything else like that. And I was intrigued with him. There were some other ones too, like Philip Sayers. Philip Sayers was originally from Red Lake and was living over in Duluth and St. Don, you know, just talking with these individuals, these elders. There was a guy named Kendall Rice from Potawatomi. Moses Smith, he was Hadassah, but he lived in Grand Portage, and he was married to a lady from Grand Portage. These different people that, you know, I come in contact over the years during that when I was going to school helped me bring me more aware, I guess, of who I was. I never danced before. It wasn't until college when I met this one guy, a friend of mine. His name was Sonny Smart from Bad River, and you know, the native guy. And I was at his place, and I seen his outfit on the corner over there, and I asked him if I could take a look at it. And he was telling me about his outfit and how it all came to him, and the things that he had to do and make and everything like that. And I was thinking, geez, you know, I wouldn't mind making myself an outfit. So I started making myself an outfit, and you know, and he helped guide me on what to do and how to make different things. And I was really surprised, and he was going to get married, and he came to me. He says, "I got a question to ask you." He says to me. I said, "Yeah." I said, "I want you to be my best man at my wedding." I was kind of surprised because, you know, he knew all this. You know, we kind of met a few years earlier, and you know, we got to be good friends. And he said, "It's going to be a traditional wedding." Really, huh? And he said he gave me tobacco to be there. And he kind of looked at me before he got done. He said, "And you wear your outfit." Okay, you know, so that's actually the first time I wore it. You know, before I even started dancing like that. And I had to, like I said, I had to go away and learn all this stuff. Learn our history, learn our migration, learn how we came to this area. I learned how to sing on a drum, the songs, the different kinds of songs that I use. You just don't pick up a song and think that, you know, you're going to be a good singer like that. It takes a lot of practice and knowing what songs to use on certain occasions, and that honor songs or wedding song or anything like that. Pipe song, everything like that. And I was also the first time I ever got learn a little bit more of what they call a big drum society. So that even brought my interest here too. But when I returned, you know, I brought the guys, young guys around here, approached me when I came back, and they said, "We heard you know how to sing." I said, yeah, I do. I said, can you teach us? I said, yeah, I'd be honored to do that, to teach what I know and to help you guys. So we started singing. We made a drum, and we started singing. We started traveling around together, all of us in the village here, and we started going different places and setting up and singing songs and everything like that, and teaching. And I was kind of teaching them what I was learning, what I took and I brought back. I was able to learn, and even dancing too. I was a traditional dancer, working with my outfit that I had over time, teaching other kids how to dance. I guess there was. I realized that that people were watching me doing this stuff. One time at a powwow, and they wouldn't come in with grand entry and start dancing, and this guy calls me over. He says, from the village here, and he said, I couldn't help noticing, he says, that when you're coming in and dancing there, and pretty soon I was watching my son, as he was coming over. He was dancing just like you. So that's kind of an honor, and knowing that people are watching you, what you're doing, and how you're doing it, presenting yourself, and the kids especially, pick that stuff up, and they learn that, and it continued a lot. That, and also when I said the Big Drum Society, that was the first time I was invited to come to a ceremony, and I always remembered what some of these elders down in Mille Lacs said, that this elder got up, he says that we got to do something about our culture. Everybody kind of caught everybody's attention, and one of the other elders says, what are you talking about? He says, well, look in the room here, he says. Look around. All you see is elders here. You don't see no young people participating in our ceremonies, they said. If we continue this out, our culture is going to, our ceremonies are going to die, because we're not passing that on, those ceremonies on to other people, to teach them the songs, and teach them how these ceremonies should go, and that kind of woke up a lot of people when they said that, because here we are, and it was considered a closed ceremony where only certain people would come in, and they're saying that we should open our doors, that any Indian person should be able to come in and participate, and even putting in young people on a drum and teaching those songs, so they can understand what these ceremonies are about. And you see that in a lot of places, that after that a lot of these places changed a little bit in their ceremonies. It wasn't, as I said back, it wasn't until 1978 that practicing any ceremonies, native ceremonies, was outlawed, until 1978 when the Freedom of Indian Religion Act was passed. It was forbidden to do pipe ceremony, speak Ojibwe, or anything like that. It was all forbidden. It was, did it, and it would have been thrown in jail, basically, if you did it, probably. So it was all starting to come out more and more, where we're seeing these ceremonies and everything was more open, where people could attend. It wasn't so secretive anymore, and there's still ceremonies where we want to have private, but there's still some things we know we need to share so that young people can understand what it's for and why. Talking about our history, some things about our cultures, our language. There's still some stories that should be recorded. The Winnebago stories, those are teachings that are only to be taught when there's snow on the ground, and during the winter months. There's a couple of reasons why that is. Those stories are only told during that time, especially long ago. The people were in their wigwams, and they told stories to the kids to keep them occupied during the long winter days or long winter nights. And telling the stories, the life stories, the teachings like that. And there's also another reason why they say that these stories should not be told when there's reptiles out, like turtles and lizards and frogs and things like that. That because they also are listening out there. But during that time when it's snow on the ground, winter yet, that they're still hibernating, so they're not listening, they say. And those stories like that, the Winnebago stories, should not be recorded, but should be passed on and talked about. Because they are teachings, basically, of life. Different reasons why there's some stories that they say that some people talk about, and a lot of them are for good humor and anything like that too. Those stories like that we talked about. There was one story I remember that this one old man, this Jimmy Jackson was talking about, and he was telling about the story about why the loon's eyes are red and why his body was flat. He was telling us that story, and it was recorded too, and done with illustrations. And well, basically the story says that when Buja was at his camp and he was hungry, you can see all these ducks and geese and flying around there, and he was thinking, so he grabbed a drum and he started pounding his drum, he started singing his song. These ducks all come down and they were listening to Winnebago. It sounded pretty nice. And they Winnebago invited him into his lodge. Come on, let's have a gathering here, he says. And so, he went inside and all the ducks and geese in there. He said, well, one thing though, he said, you gotta have when you're singing a song, you're dancing, you guys have to be closed. You can't look. Alright, so he goes in there and they start singing a song. The ducks and the geese were all dancing around. And then, this one loon there, he was kind of curious, because once in a while when Winnebago was singing away like that, once in a while he'd grab a duck by the neck and like that, he'd swing his neck and go back there and sing some more. That's right, little brother, was gonna say. And pretty soon after a couple like that, that loon was kind of wondering why is he? What's that noise? Pretty soon he heard another one. When Buja was ready to reach another person for another duck there, and he peeked, and he started yelling, "Run, brothers, run! Winnebago's going to kill us all!" All the ducks and geese all start running on Winnebago. "I'm going to get you over there," he says. And he started chasing that loon down to the water. He was running after him, he was going to give him a great big kick, and he missed. And his foot landed down on him, and that's the reason why his body's flat. And because he peaked, that's why his eyes are red. Stories like that could be told, teaching people, because some of the humors of it on it there, but some stories can't. But the thing is that recording stuff for future generations, like how did our people come here? How did, there's more to a story than over 1,500 years ago our people migrated to this area. What is some of the local history in our area here? Well, I could tell you a lot of local history. People never knew that a lot of these things existed. When we first came to this area, the Lakota people were occupied this area, and we pushed them out. We pushed them out in the prairie. You could take a line from present-day St. Cloud all the way to Devil's Lake, and that was like the big battle line between the Lakota and the Ojibwe people. And just south of here, there's we call Smoky Hills. Actually, what we called it was Najal Kagago in our language. The mountains where the pines are at. That's how Pine Point got its name. During that time, when we were fighting the Lakota people, we used that hills as a lookout to watch over to the west to where the Lakota people were at. And they seen this big war party coming up here to this area, and all the Ojibways got together and they went out and they met them there, and there was a big battle between the Ojibways and the Lakota people. The Ojibways won the battle, the fight, and they brought their dead and their wounded back here to Pine Point, where Pine Point is now. The Lakota people basically were buried out there where the location is, where the battle took place. And actually there is mounds, Lakota mounds, of the warriors that fell during that battle. People around here, even Johnny doesn't know about, they call the battle Flat Lake. And the battle was over wild rice, went over because of those lakes that contained that food for us. There's a large history that takes place here of why, how we got here, I guess, and as far as they even believe as part of our prophecy and why we came here. But yeah, a lot of things like that could be recorded to show that this took place in the past. Why did we got here? How come? All those questions. Like I said, when I went to school, I still had those questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? There's more to our history than what's in history books. We have a long history before even that guy that was got lost in 1492, landing on shores. We had a big history, and that's part of that's even in our prophecies. The 7 fires. That's all part of it, and how we ended up here. I told you I changed my life back over 24 years ago, 1990. I quit drinking and doing drugs, and what I had to do is I had to look at myself and look at my future. And if I would have kept on drinking and drugs, I wouldn't have been going anywhere. And so I took that step in changing my life. After about a couple of years after I quit, I just told my friends and that I'm no longer going to drink and I'm not going to do drugs anymore. I have to look at my life, and I got to change my own life. A lot of people couldn't accept that, and to me, that's their decision, not mine. If they can only accept me as being a drunk, that's their problem. But accept me as a human being, that's a different thing. So after a couple of years of being sober and that, and participating in a lot of different things, powwows and that, this man, his name was Mark Hansen. He came up to me. He says, he calls me up. Well, actually, he called me up. He says, "I need you to come over to my house." So he didn't really say why. So I went to his house, and he said, yeah, so I was told to give you this. What it was a pipe. And I didn't really have a good understanding of why I was being given a pipe. And I accepted it. He told me a little bit. He said why I need it. He said I was having this dream, and he said that this pipe came, and it was to give it to you. And I was told to give this pipe to you. He says, so he gave it to me. Well, I didn't know what to do with the pipe, and I had no idea what to do with it. And then I was told I told some people, I said, I was given this pipe, I just don't know what to do with this pipe now. And I said, well, maybe you should go in ceremony and fast and just seek a vision why you got that pipe came to you. So I did. I went up to a guy named Adam Luciers up in Red Lake, and they put me out in the woods for 3 days. No food, no water, no cigarettes, nothing like that. Just me and that pipe. And the old man says to me, he says, well, when you're out here, this pipe is going to talk to you and it's going to tell you why you got this pipe. So that's why I was out there. Couldn't leave that spot. Couldn't go wandering around or anything like that. Couldn't eat nothing, couldn't drink nothing. And the whole time I was up there, it mist. It had a mist of rain. And in the summertime, you could hear this thunder rolling across the sky. We call it in our language bokamok, rolling thunder, bokamok. And after 3 days, that old man shows up again. He says, it's time for you to come down. Okay, so I got off that platform and that scaffold that was I sat on it, and I came down and went through the ceremony, and he said, well, so what'd you see? And I told him what the whole time I was there, and that's what was going on there. So that's the name of your pipe, bokamok, and you're going to use that pipe. The pipe is not for you, he said. The pipe is for you to use to help other people. You're just the keeper of that pipe. And whenever someone needs help, you bring that pipe out and help them. And ever since then, I started, using that pipe more and more and more. And I had an old friend here, this village here. His name is Joe Bush. George Fairbanks, his real name is, but everybody called him Joe Bush. And we were good friends, really good friends. And we helped each other a lot. Sometimes he couldn't do something, he'd call me up, he said, can you go do this for me? Sure, go over there and help this family out or something like that. And sometimes I couldn't do something I would be asked and I couldn't do it, and he'd go, sure, no problem, you go take care of it. learned a lot from this young man. Because he was given a pipe by this guy named Jimmy Jackson. Jimmy Jackson, back in the 70s, he was given that pipe. So he had this pipe a lot longer than I had a pipe. And I looked at that because I learned from him what he was doing, listening to his words and everything like that he spoke, and using those words and doing his ceremonies. And I still do these ceremonies, naming ceremonies, weddings, funerals, blessings, all these ceremonies. The pipe I'm using now, though, is Joe Bush's. When he passed on, I was given his pipe, and I still use it. That's the pipe I use. I had to give my other pipe away to a family, to a village that needed help, and which I did. And so they could use it, and they could help them also. So the ceremonies I use now, I use Joe Bush's pipe. He passed on to me. And I still use those drums and that, hand drums and everything like that, ceremonies like that. I do sweats. I do a lot of ceremonies. I'm not a medicine man. A medicine man is a person who knows the uses of different plants out in the woods, who can help heal a person. I am not that. I am what they call a spiritual advisor, where I could help a person and guide them in helping them out in their life and straightening out their lives, giving advice, helping them when they're in trouble, in need, or grief, or sorrow, something like that. Sometimes we look at people and there's two beings. One is the physical being that you see here. The other one is this mental and spiritual being inside you that makes you live. And sometimes that can be out of whack. The things that I do to help out is to bring those together again, to be in balance. There's others like me here on the reservation. There's other people here too that are practicing to be medicine people. But my choice is to be a spiritual advisor, not to be a medicine person, a medicine man. If someone comes to me and asks me I'm sick, I need some medicine, well, I'll refer them to someone else. That's not what I was taught, I guess. There's other people out there that can do stuff like that. So I do a lot of ceremonies. It's just that when my wife passed away 2 years ago, I had to put things away to the side for a while because of that grieving process that I was going through. And now, to show the respect for that spirits of those items that I have, now I can bring them back out again after a year, and which I'm doing. I'm still practicing them. Still doing it. Like I said, I do the sweat lodge a lot with other people. When people come to me, they have to come to me with tobacco, because I got to use that tobacco. You just don't call me up and says, "Oh, when are you going to have a sweat again?" I don't know when I'm going to have a sweat. But if you come to me with tobacco, then I'll have a sweat. You got a reason. You got to need a reason why you want to go into that lodge. You just don't want to go in there and say, "Oh, okay," to experience it. No, you go in there for a reason. You go in there to pray. You're going to reborn yourself. It's just, that's what a lot of ceremonies are about, is, to help each other, pray for other people. A lot of people, one of the hardest things for people to do is to pray for themselves. They don't want to see it sound selfish, but we also need that help. And it doesn't hurt for people to say, in our language, help me, pity me, as I walk in this earth. We all hurt once in a while, and spiritually and mentally and physically. We all say, pray for me. Yeah, I'll pray for you, but you can also pray for yourself too. You don't realize it. And it doesn't take a person like me to always pray. A young kid can take up some tobacco in a hole in their hand and say what they want and put their tobacco out. Anybody could do that. We have it all inside ourselves to be able to pray. You don't need someone special to do it for you. Maybe that's because we got away from that dependency on someone else or something like that, but we're all capable of doing it. So those ceremonies are there for people to learn. And a lot of people can do it, basically. It's all within you and the spirit within yourself. The biggest threat in the way I think of the way of life is drugs and alcohol. When I was growing up, we drank and did some drugs, but not hard drugs. And nowadays, you look at some of these people here and the drugs that they're on, you kind of wonder what is the kids going to be like, or why they want it. Do they really care, or something, that how their kids going to grow up and learn or be something else? And because you've seen that over time that there was a lot of loss of our culture and our heritage, and some people still don't have it, I guess, and they think that the drugs and alcohol is the way of life. It's not, and there's a lot more out to this world than that. I think that's the biggest threat. And I can't change it. And they're going to be the person that want to have to change it. All I can do is offer the tools. But even for someone to go into treatment, or something like that. Treatment doesn't work unless they want to change. If they go through treatment and they get out and they go right back to what they were doing before, then the treatment doesn't help. It goes right back in the same pattern. They need to break that pattern to be able to change their lives. And for them to really want to make that change. Otherwise, a lot of our history and culture, we almost lost it all before, but during the fur trade, when we traded furs for whiskey. They shipped a lot of whiskey and that, alcohol to this region during the fur trade, and there was stories of once the fur traders come in there and to trade the women and children around the woods, because they knew the men would drink that whiskey and all that, and they'll fight and everything else like that, and they didn't want to be around them. And a lot of the women kept our culture, our ceremonies and all that fresh in their mind, because a lot of it was lost with the men. So this is almost like history repeating itself. This has gone on for decades. It's not just something that started a year ago. That's where people got to break that change. Know who you are. Know where you came from. Know your past. Know what you're doing in the present. And look into the future and where you want to go. Where you want to be. How do you want your grandchildren to live? You gotta take all three of those parts and just, and look at your surroundings. Too many times people just look what's in front of them. There's a whole world out there that can be explored. I can always, in our home here, in our village, a lot of people left, but a lot of people want to come back, but they don't want to, and they don't want to yet do that because there's nothing here to offer to them to do anything. And that's where you have to look at everything around your surroundings. What you might do might be affecting your neighbors or something like that, and be aware of the things around yourself, I guess. But first of all, get to know who you are yourself as an individual, then as a tribe, or excuse me, individual, then your family, then your tribe.